Good morning, everybody. It is 10:02, so why don't we get started? Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Aaron Fichtner. I'm president of the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, and it is my pleasure and honor to welcome you all back to, I believe, Glenn and John, I think it's our fourth meeting of the Manufacturing and Supply Chain Collaborative, and great to see the energy continue, the commitment to collaborating to build strong pathways from high school to community college to four-year colleges, on-ramps and off-ramps, connections to community-based organizations, all to make sure that we're expanding economic opportunity for more New Jerseyans in this important sector of our economy, and that we're building a skilled workforce to propel economic growth in this area, which we know is so important to our state's history, our economy going forward. So excited to be here, and on behalf of all the community colleges, the council, our team here, and our partners at NJBIA, welcome to this important discussion today. So really excited for a great agenda focusing on how we might continue to build strong partnerships between high schools and community colleges and four-year colleges to get more students in high school on a path to a good paying career, family supporting job. So we have a full agenda for us today with phenomenal national leader and innovator, Davis Jenkins from the Community College Research Center at Columbia. I'll introduce him in a minute, but then we'll have some breakout. We'll have a great discussion about a partnership in Morris County between the Morris County School of Technology and the County College of Morris that we hope will inspire some innovative thinking from all of us. And then we'll have some breakout discussions where we all get a chance to talk about what we might do together to advance this work. I will say that in the last month since we have met, our two centers of workforce innovation, one in manufacturing, engineering, technology, and the other in supply chain management, have been working incredibly hard to put together very detailed action plans for their work to develop new curriculum models. We look forward to sharing more with you all at our next meeting of this collaborative. But just want to acknowledge our colleges that are working in those two centers and their incredible dedication and innovative thinking to the work ahead. So with that, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker today, Davis Jenkins. Davis, thank you so much for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule. I know you've been to New Jersey a couple of times, helping us really think through issues like guided pathways and equitable learning. And now I know that you have spent a lot of time in your role at the Community College Research Center, really thinking very differently about how we might advance dual enrollment partnerships. Our colleges have a tremendous amount of dual enrollment agreements and partnerships across the state. But what we really want to do here is to explore how we might continue to expand those agreements and relationships in a way that builds career pathways for students in a stackable manner. And Davis, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning and sharing your insights, your perspective. We know you've been a leader in the student success movement and now in dual enrollment, and very much look forward to your comments and involvement. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'll turn the floor to you, Davis.
Hey, thanks a lot, Aaron. I wish I were in Jersey. Love the New Jersey folks. Really pleased that you're doing this work. So I've been in this career pathway work for a long time. I helped to coin the term stackable credentials in the 1990s. Seemed like a good idea back then, but there's not been much stacking. In all this work, what I found is, while specific practices are important, really what's most important, or fundamentally important to get good practice is changing people's mindsets. So what I think you have the opportunity here, and especially involving employers in manufacturing, logistics, and other fields, that's really the key, is transforming what is in New Jersey and in every other state, a talent diversion system, sorting by race and class, not by talent, into high opportunity career pathways for a broader group of students, and very importantly, a talent supply chain for employers. And in fact, we try to improve education always from the ground up. This is a supply chain process, starting with the end in mind, where the end is careers and backward designing and focusing on motivation of students, not just academic preparation. Obviously, you in manufacturing and supply chain logistics invented this tech approach. So I'm talking about we need to apply it broadly to education. So what we have now, I know this is complicated, but just try to be a student trying to navigate this, is, you know, this highly tracked system that tracks students from early on into a sort of a bachelor's degree track, and another that sort of sorts students into a general college, general high school, and a vocational track. The green tracks are those that lead to family supporting jobs in industry. You'll notice there's the AAS, which is the Associate Applied Science and Associate Degree of Nursing, and apprenticeship programs here at the bottom. Those are, as you know, in manufacturing elsewhere, people coming out of those programs tend to be really skilled, but the path into them, including through high school vocational education, high school CTE, is not clear for students. So what we end up with is a system that sorts by race and class, not by talent, which is obviously inequitable, but more importantly, we're just wasting talent for the manufacturers and logistics and other industries of Jersey when we desperately need it. Jersey is high tech across industries, and to get a good job, you have to be ready for a high tech workforce. So the sorting happens within the sectors of education, but it especially happens between. And there's emerging this model that's trying to integrate, you know, at least help students accelerate, students who are in high school, accelerate their learning so that they can get into post-secondary education. And Glenn and company will send these out to folks, but these are generally called dual credit, dual enrollment. There are a couple different kinds of this. The first is early college high schools. You may have heard of PTECs. The second is dual and concurrent enrollment, where the student takes high school or college classes, either on a college campus taught by a college professor, or sometimes in high schools taught by a high school teacher who's credentialed to teach that course. And then there's high school CTE, sometimes called high school academies or tech prep and the like. So let me just go through these three different models generally. Early colleges, high schools, and PTECs, extremely strong experimental evidence that the participating in these increases the chances that students will not only go to college directly after high school, but do well in high school and graduate get a college degree. And this works for low-income students and underserved students as well. These are very powerful. They're especially powerful in the case of PTECs, where they have an industry or field focus. The problem is that, and we're not knocking them, we encourage these, is that they're relatively small in scale. And Jersey has some, and I saw that there are 4 PTECs in Jersey. There may be more. But compared to some other states like Texas, New York, Massachusetts, Jersey hasn't scaled these up much. The bigger model, the more common model nationally, is these dual enrollment, again, where the student takes a college course on the college campus, or in high school taught by a credentialed high school teacher. The pluses for thinking of these as on-ramps to a college program is that there is moderate evidence, pretty good evidence, that taking these courses increases the chances that students will go to college and complete college. And by the way, with respect to AP, I know there's a big push in culture in Jersey to take the AP, but there is no equivalent for AP in terms of college completion unless you get at least a 3 or higher on the AP test. So early college, high school, dual credit, very good. The problem is that it tends to be sort of just random acts, just courses that are offered because the college wants to teach them or the high school wants to teach them or you have a faculty available. They're very general education oriented. They're not focused on a field and certainly not a career field, but even an academic field like STEM or whatever. And they tend to be taken advantage of by students from higher, from students who are probably going to go from families who are going to go to college anyhow. High school CTE, the good thing is that they're career focused. They're very large scale, larger by far even than dual and concurrent enrollment. They have very diverse students, but it's very poor articulation with CTE, with post-secondary CTE, and increasingly you need post-secondary CTE to get into a career path job, even in manufacturing. And I mean by that an associate of applied science or a apprenticeship type job. The fact that you have gotten skills and maybe a certificate is great, but to get into the career path job, you need post-secondary training. So my work is to try to make the last two, which have scales, the dual and concurrent enrollment and high school CTE, more like these early college high schools, but at scale, because the infrastructure for them is already in place. What's lacking is sort of the mindset and the involvement of industry. So dual enrollment has grown nationally, and most of this is this dual credit, not the early college high schools. And it's, you see it's especially in community colleges. It varies greatly by state. Jersey, it's relatively low, 6%, and you'll see why maybe in a minute. But in Texas, it's about a quarter of students. In Iowa, it's 37% of students. In rural colleges throughout the country, we see very high levels of dual enrollment. In community colleges, pre-pandemic, the 17 and younger, which is the dual enrollment students, this is the blue map at the bottom. Blue means growth in enrollment. It's the only segment of the community college workforce or enrollment that has grown, including here you see in Jersey. So we've been losing adult students in community colleges. We've been losing traditional age students to public 4 years. These dual enrollments are growing. So there's a potential there for scale. So 85% of, and you can use this link from this when you get this thing, 85% of school districts nationally offer dual enrollment. You see it sort of light here in Jersey, but there's still most school districts offer dual enrollment. This is the comparison with AP. You see AP is very big in places like Jersey, New York, Florida, coastal areas, right? And anyhow, so dual enrollment is out there in the heartland. Access to dual enrollment nationally and in Jersey is inequitable. Nationally, about 10% of students participate in dual enrollment generally, but only 6% of students who are Black African American participate. Similar, greater participation in AP nationally, but Black students, Hispanic students, low-income students, which aren't shown here, are really lower participating. Here's the numbers for Jersey, about 10% generally, only 5% of African Americans. And here's the numbers for AP, just for perspective. So, and this tool allows you to look by school district. So you can look in different, this is Edison County in terms of participation by race. So you can see. What I'm saying is these involved students, and their families, they're a prime target for what you're trying to do here in manufacturing to build this supply chain, because no one's getting them involved. And we're finding through research that we've done, research throughout the country, for example, during the pandemic, states like Florida waived the stupid standardized tests, which is based on this decontextualized algebra and Sputnik era type mathematics. And guess what? They had more African American males and students of color and low income students participate in dual enrollment because they got rid of the test. And guess what? They did just as well. They'll do even better if they're motivated and they see a career path involved. So the model that we've been trying to push and that we were seeing increasing models across the country is moving from random acts, just offering college courses, whatever, and programs of privilege, that is offering dual enrollment courses for students from families who are already going to go to college. That's fine. I'm not knocking it. It actually creates, college going families create political pressure to increase dual enrollment, which is positive. But to this idea of a high opportunity post-secondary pathway where you start with the end in mind, where the end is careers, and especially the great careers, that you guys are screaming for, well-paying jobs, by which I mean $17 and up, 35 grand and up a year to start, plus benefits. Those are the knowledge jobs that will benefit students and families. And this is a different mindset. It's starting with the end in mind, backward designing. It's reaching out to families. We did a study across in 3 different states of dual enrollment, and we were talking to African-American families in Florida, in West Palm Beach, and they'd never heard of dual enrollment. No one had told them about dual enrollment, even though dual enrollment in Florida is like the largest and best dual free college program in the state. And so no one's telling them or their families. And this, so this is important. Instead of just random acts, aligning aligning these courses to post-secondary paths, either leading directly to jobs, which means applied associate apprenticeship, and or transfer with junior standing in a major. We pushed way too much focus on academic preparation, and we use that to sort. And by the way, as I've alluded, it's 60-year-old mathematics. I'm a quantitative researcher. I haven't used calculus since I took Calc 3 at the, in university. We do modeling, we use statistics, these aren't being taught, and we're using 60-year-old mathematics that is not used in, and not teaching the kind of mathematics that has revolutionized manufacturing logistics. We're not focusing enough on motivation. We want to motivate students to say, I met someone, I had no idea that Jersey is like one of the world centers in logistics. And I never realized how much those people make or what they do. And it's really math intensive. But my college that I'm working with, I'm taking this course in my high school through the college. We're learning applied statistics, or we're learning basic applied physics and maintenance for manufacturing jobs. I see what this is. This is hard, but my college is supporting me, and I see the path that the college has worked with employers to create. So, bottom line here. Whoops. So 40 years in the guided pathways or the career pathways business. Work with your employers, this group here, to backward map educational paths, starting with careers and the good paying jobs, down through the college and into high school. Employers should be taking the lead, especially at the post-secondary level with this. The best approaches are called compression planning, where the employers sit in the middle, facilitated. They look at the curriculum, they talk about the students coming out of the program. The academics, the educators, sorry, not academics, educators sit on the outside, and the employers have at it with the curriculum. And by the way, when we've seen this, faculty are often concerned that employers don't want communication, liberal arts. They definitely do. They want students who can communicate and think broadly, but it needs to be relevant. Market these pathways to students, families, and schools, especially in underserved groups, as roadmaps to debt-free college credentials and high opportunity careers. The best opportunities in manufacturing is if you can get an applied associate, which if you do dual enrollment, and then finish off at the community college in logistics or manufacturing, and you can get a job where either your employer will pay for your bachelor's degree along with your vendor training, et cetera, or you'll make enough to pay for yourself. And then market to employers and policymakers, because they're still thinking in the old, talent diversion as a talent supply chain for Jersey. Giving students information about careers isn't enough. Students need to be motivated, and the way to be motivated is through opportunities for network, exposure, experience. We've really got to push this, and especially for underserved students. Help all students explore interests, connect with others, and I think it's unethical. We see so many students who have talent, but they're misguided and they're taking all these courses not to help every student develop a full program plan. They will change their mind probably, and changing your mind is okay. But as it is, too few students have, any kind of plan. I think as colleges, as schools, we can no longer, it's no longer acceptable, because we just have too many students wandering around who could be working in the logistics and manufacturing and other high-tech industries. This requires a changing mindset. We got to think differently, and you here with the employers, with the colleges, with the schools need to start talking these new ideas up with school boards, industry associations, chambers, churches, community groups in low-income areas, because they're not getting this. And I'm telling you from experience across the country, these maps created with employers and with the guarantee by the colleges and the schools that we're going to offer this path, not all this useless stuff and abstract algebra that has no use to anybody. We're going to offer mathematics and other fields that are relevant to employment in a high-tech field like Jersey. And here's the path. And by the way, you can get here debt-free, including, by the way, a college degree. So there are lots of models nationally. Here's a good one from Northeast Iowa Community College in Manufacturing. They've really worked with local employers and starting to change the mindset. I can connect you with other examples nationally, but here endeth my sermon.
That was a tremendous overview, Davis. Thank you so much. Wonderful information. We have a few questions that we'll try to get to you. First one is, are the root causes of poor articulation for high school post-secondary programs known, and are they defined? And if so, what would be some recommendations you might offer that could help rectify that occurrence?
The high school to college articulation?
Yes.
Well, in general, we focus on the high school to college transition based on a set of standards that is defined for the traditional college track, based on the SAT, placement tests based on abstract algebra. The issues with CTE is that traditional high school CTE, and I know you're looking at this Morris County of Tech and CC Morris, Community College of Morris County, and I talked with the president over the weekend. This is a counterexample, but basically high school CTE has been focused on getting students jobs directly out of high school, and that's good, but they also need to go directly into post-secondary technical training at the applied associate level, apprenticeship level, because the certificate alone is not going. It's good to have that, and employers want to see the certificates. Again, I mentioned I came up with stacked certificates. What we talk about now is employer sanctioned degrees, starting with applied associate, that are backward designed with embedded certifications and certificates. Employers are looking for the credential, but they also want to see experience and drive, and those certifications show that, look, this student can learn, and this student can, they've shown by having gotten certifications or certificates that they can learn the technologies of my industry. The fact that they got a degree that I helped backward design, is showing me that they have the basic applied skills, and hopefully also communication and broad thinking, that critical thinking that we need. So it's a traditional system. It has a long history. It really came to the fore in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 40s and 50s. It hasn't changed much. And so we're in a new era. We got to take the supply chain backward design. When you're in manufacturing, you don't wait for your suppliers to just send you whatever, right? And the other problem is that it's not as much as equity, but you got students coming out of college with degrees, and they don't know how to do anything. They're demanding high wages, and it's not because they're not talented. It's just because they haven't, they've gone through this very academic thing. So the vocational area, I think, now has a competitive advantage. And actually, in the pandemic, we're seeing increasing returns to graduate degrees and to the applied associate and apprenticeship degrees. And we're seeing increasing demand for this. And again, for families and students, it's a great job, because if you can get an applied associate, many times your employer will pay for your further education. They're paying for on-the-job training. And even if they don't pay for your bachelor's degree, which, by the way, you're going to need in manufacturing, there are more bachelor's degree and higher workers in manufacturing now than there are sub-baccalaureates, because it's high tech. And I include apprenticeship in that as well. But you're going to need further education to move up to technical management, technical sales, which are jobs that in Jersey, man, if you can get that, you're just on your way.
Thank you, Davis. Your presentation, I think, further validates the importance of the work that each of our 10 centers are doing here in this Pathways to Career initiative. And it further validates the labor market data that initially sparked this whole Pathways launch. So I think it's safe to say for all of our centers and all of our schools represented in across the state, that they're definitely moving in the right direction around addressing these industry demands that are put forth, and really are the next wave, the next generation of skilled workforce that needs to be developed, this pipeline here in New Jersey. So thank you.
I see Judy, I love the rebuttal from Jersey. This is what I like to hear. I agree with you, Judy. I mean, I was talking about the mindset generally. It sounds like what you guys are doing, is the kind of supply chain mentality that I'm talking about. But in general, the mindset still among public, the policymakers, among our the ways we fund education is still on the old fashioned. And so Judy, you're part of this group to really get this mindset out to parents. And I'm telling you, showing the path that an employer has sanctioned to a good job, debt-free, and then basically paid for further education at the bachelor's and graduate level, hopefully applied bachelor's and graduate level, and on the job, is really compelling to families and students right now.
Thank you, Davis. And once again, on behalf of the New Jersey Pathways Initiative, we appreciate you being here with us and sharing your insights and a lot of relevant information to the work of the centers. Now I'd like to transition to our partnership portion of the program. Today we have with us Sherry Castelli, who is the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction at the Morris County Vocational District, where she oversees curriculum, NCT program development, and implementation. She also collaborates with post-secondary institutions to develop dual credit opportunities and programs for high school students. Before converting to career and technical education 12 years ago, Sherry was a high school science teacher and a science supervisor. Joining her is Patrick Enright, Vice President for Professional Studies and Applied Sciences at the County College of Morris. In this role, he oversees the college's Center for Workforce Development, the School for Business, Mathematics, Engineering, and Technologies, and the School of Health Professions and Natural Science. These units of the college deliver the credit and non-credit programs that align with the current and future job markets and prepare students with training, certificates, and degrees to enter the job market. Patrick has been at CCM for 15 years and previously served as Dean for BMET. Prior to coming to County College of Morris, he oversaw degree programs as the Dean at community colleges in Colorado. Welcome, Sherry and Patrick.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Glenn.
How did you all begin with your partnership?
So
I've-
it's a-
Go
Go ahead, Sherry.
I feel like a lot of what Davis was talking about was the genesis of our program. It really came from labor demand and local manufacturers who wanted a pipeline of skilled employees.
Yeah, and I would just add to Sherry that kind of a lot of nice vignette stories that we can tell, but that we had underused capacity in our labs, and actually we were walking down the hallway one day, and I said to Sherry, I said, hey, I really need to fill this lab with students, and that's where the discussion engaged. And as Sherry said, so many of the ideas of Davis Jenkins informed the development and it continue to inform the development of programs here at CCM.
And I also want to give a shout out to a couple people who are participating in this meeting. Bob Stodger and Joanne Mitchell were two of our advisors when we first developed this program. So thank you for everything you've done to support this.
To that point, Sherry, could you expound on who they are and how their participation was important to this collaboration between Morris?
So, absolutely. So, both Bob Stodger and Joanne Mitchell were advocates of manufacturing who had led companies in manufacturing, who worked with us to develop the program. And I very clearly remember recruiting students, because in this partnership with CCM, Morris County Vocational School District is responsible for bringing students into the program. And I remember having a meeting of prospective students where we provided information, and they spoke to our students and told them how important this career area is, what the demand was, and how our students would have many job opportunities when they completed the program. And we were able to really recruit a lot of students that way.
I can remember Bob Stodger standing up at a meeting where an information session with a lot of parents, and he stood up and said, "I'm here to hire your son or daughter," and very provocative in terms of reassuring that the program was leading directly, if the student wanted, directly into the job market, and here were manufacturers that wanted to hire them. So, just a hugely important part of the whole success of the program.
So that further validates Davis's point about the involvement of industry. As you all sat down to actually lay out the plan and create this partnership, you had industry at the center helping to inform and guide you around not only their talent pipeline needs, but as you put together your plan and your partnership, they were involved. They were intimately involved in that process. Did you find any barriers to really establishing this dual enrollment program as you all were beginning to develop it?
Well, it was a first of its kind. And so we had to do a lot of education up through our administration here. And I know that Sherry did as well. Nothing quite like the first line of school buses pulling into the County College of Morris and unloading some 16-year-olds. And so a lot of pieces need to go into place. I hesitate to call them barriers, but it wasn't insignificant coordinating the two schools. But you know, if you've got a willing partner, it works.
Yeah, it's true. We really had to marry some aspects of college schedule and coursework and high school schedule and coursework. And so it was very challenging, but because we already had such a strong partnership with CCM, they host a lot of our 12th grade full-time students, do dual credit work at the college campus already. We really built upon that partnership, but at first no one knew what it was or why or how. So it was a heavy lift, as we like to say.
Some of the topics or points that Davis made had to do with equity and awareness in various communities, marginalized or minority serving communities. As you all developed your partnership, what was the approach, if there was a specific approach around trying to make sure that there was a equitable outreach for everyone in your area?
Yeah. And this continues to be an area of focus for us, I think, for both of our institutions. Our recruitment efforts, aim at providing access to programs like this, particularly because think about the economic advantage of a program where a student not only has access to a high-paying career at the end, but also provides 30 college credits for free, plus the certificates of achievement. So we want to reach students who could greatly benefit from that economic advantage. We also want to reach students who haven't necessarily seen themselves as college students in the past by offering programs that give them the hands-on skills that they need. And then I can also say from the high school perspective that we provide supports for students who might need them. And we built that into the program through in year one, the teacher, it's one teacher, and who is a certified high school instructor. So they can provide supports and accommodations that might not be readily accessible for college students.
And I just want to add, Glenn, to that, in addition to being a certified high school teacher, these faculty are CCM's college faculty. So we had talk about barriers. We had college faculty that committed to go through the alternate route to become CTE certified to teach in this program. No small ask, and just a level, gives you a sense of their level of commitment. The second thing I wanted to say, and it's in this first box under start, the beauty of working with VOTEC. I mean, there's a lot of great things, just one of them being my partner here, Sherry Costelli, but that the VOTEC draws from every high school in the county. And so it's not about going to make, 15 different contacts. They're drawing throughout the county. And from an equity point of view, that captures those schools that are serving underserved populations. If anything, I don't want to claim that we're doing, as good as we could, but it is a part of our mission. And Sherry and I talk about it all the time.
And a surprising outcome, just piggybacking on what Patrick said, a surprising outcome of opening it up to all high school students in Morris County has been, we've had several homeschooled and private schooled students go through this program as well, which was really not something we had thought about, but it's been a great addition to the program.
Mm-hmm. And from an equity point of view, Glenn, also, again, I know we have limited time and there's a lot to talk about, but again, this is the commitment of VOTEC. Not every high school will pay the tuition for dual credit. The VOTEC pays the entire tuition for the student. So there's no financial barrier for a student to be part of this program.
And that definitely speaks to the equity, part of the equity question we were discussing. Thank you. That's wonderful to hear that. And there's certainly a commitment from the VOTEC district. They're working with County College of Morris. And how many students have you all seen go through this program since the inception of the partnership?
We were talking about this just before the presentation this morning, and rough estimate is about 180. We're on our 7th year of doing this, and in any given year after the first year, we have juniors and seniors, and so in any given year we have 30 students on the campus, plus or minus. And I do want to highlight that an attractor for the students are working on industry quality equipment. One thing, a benefit of the partnership is that the college has access to funding that the VOTEC doesn't, and leveraging our existing equipment that we use for the college degree program in this program. So it's an efficient use of resources. And as I said at the beginning, we really wanted to maximize the use of our facility, and this has been a big part of that.
Yeah, and it's a huge selling point for our prospective students when we run that information session, that recruiting event for this program, and the students see what CCM has to offer that they could never get at their local high school. Apologies, I'm in a high school. Then, you know, that's a huge draw, and the facilities have improved even from where we started over the years with their new AMEX center.
So Sherry, from your standpoint, as you're communicating with your administrators and your faculty, your counselors, have they seen this partnership as helping to elevate their conversations when they're engaging with parents who are enrolled in the program?
Of course. I mean, this program has been so positively received by folks in the county and school counselors who've gotten to know us very well, that we've been able to replicate this program. So not only do we offer this kind of partnership for manufacturing, but we now offer cybersecurity, a culinary arts and hospitality program, and we just started a criminal justice program. I know the focus of this forum is manufacturing, but it shows how this idea is caught on, that a high school student can spend a half day for their 11th and 12th grade and earn 30 or more free college credits. It's just been very well received, and it's just a great way for these students to start out either a career afterwards, or as our flow chart shows, we have a lot of students who then opt to stay at CCM. They've already completed half of their degree. They stay and finish for a year and finish their degree, and then they can move on to a four-year college. So they're truly getting a head start both in career readiness and career skills, and at a post-secondary degree. So that's been huge.
And I would add, when they graduate high school, they do have a certificate from the County College of Morris. So they leave with a credential. And as you can see in the flow chart, and I see we're missing actually an arrow. In addition, they can come out of high school. They are job ready, as Bob Staudinger could tell you. These students are skilled up. They have college credit. But additionally, after the two-year degree, they can also enter the workforce. So there are on and off ramps here Of course, if they enter the workforce, they still have the college credit. They can, when they're working, continue towards the degree. And I think as Davis Jenkins pointed out, many manufacturing employers provide tuition reimbursement for their employees. I like to refer to that as the new free college plan. Your boss will pay for it.
And one of the outcomes of this program is many students have been able to add more CCM courses to their schedule in their senior year. And we have many students who opt to get an associate's degree when they graduate high school, which is like an early and kind of an impromptu early college program. But it's truly inspired us to create an early college program, which we have, which we have slated to begin in business administration next year.
This is a wonderful example of how our centers are. One of our 8 distinct pathways is dual enrollment. Is one of those mechanisms for really engaging our New Jersey residents, our students in our high schools. And this is an excellent example of a partnership of where dual enrollment has been not only very effective, but meets a number of elements, including being informed by the industry itself as you all develop the partnership and really taking a thoughtful and critical approach to addressing the needs of industry while also making sure that they meet the requirements of the educational requirements and continuing their education if they so desired. So I appreciate both of you taking time to share I know you can share a lot more information with us about this partnership, but thank you so much. We want to transition to our breakout rooms for everyone if they would like to have additional discussions. But before we do that, I do ask that everyone take an opportunity to complete our feedback survey form. The link is in the chat. We do want to hear from you and get your feedback around our discussions, our ideas, or whether you would like to participate more with our Centers of Workforce Innovation. We welcome everyone to the room. As Davis indicated, you bring everyone around the table to really put forth a plan, and that's what our 10 centers are doing right now. So with that, we will be open. You'll be seeing the breakout room link open up momentarily. Please join us and share your questions or comments or observations, and even best practices that you may be aware of. So thank you again, Patrick and Sherry, and see you soon. A minute to join. So what I'd like to do before we start is just have everyone just introduce themselves so that everybody knows who's here in our room. So I'll start with myself, Glenn Best, and I'm director for the Manufacturing Supply Chain Sector Strategy for our Pathways Initiative. And thank you all for being here. And I'll just go to my right of my screen. I see Bob, you're next in my queue.
Hi, Bob Staudinger, retired president of National Manufacturing. That's where Sherry and Patrick and I work together, and now principal of industry consulting.
Welcome, and thank you for being here with us.
Glad to be here.
Shonda.
Hello, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. I came in late. I apologize. I was in another meeting. It was a lot of information, so I'm ready to participate in this breakout room. I have some questions, but I'm here and thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Matt.
Hey, Matthew Allen, German American Chamber of Commerce. We're involved in the apprenticeship sector mainly, so looking forward to having some good discussions.
Fantastic. Caroline?
Hello, everyone. I'm also from the German American Chamber of Commerce. That's Matthew.
Welcome. Kylie?
Good morning, everyone. Glenn, thank you so much for the invitation and for this convening. It has been just so informative. Apologies for my screen being off. I'm in a bit of a weird location, but I'm definitely here and listening. And I, like Shonda, have a couple of questions. I'm the director of North Youth Career Pathways, which is an organization that's housed at the North Alliance, and we're focused on career exposure for young people and career preparation. But the question of kind of where do they go after high school, what do they get plugged into after high school is big on our brains. And then the other question that's big on our brains, just to put it out here right now, is the role of paid internships, right? Where do the role of paid internships actually fit here? So I'm here, I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to this breakout room. Thank you all, and wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for being here. Hillary?
Oh, good morning. My name is Hillary McCarran. Yes, been excellent discussion. I'm with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and I oversee workforce development for the Port of New York and New Jersey.
Thank you, everyone. So I think a couple people have questions they wanted to ask, and I'll start with you, Shonda. I think you said you had a question that you would like to pose, and before I pose
Yes.
my questions, okay.
Hello, hi, good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Shonda Williamson, CEO of Logistics Professionals, drayage training and employment firm. And so I am also a trainer, not in manufacturing, but in drayage. And so I have a question about the program that you have. It's so exciting to know that individuals that young could start earning college credits towards a degree at that young age. And it's so to me it makes sense because when a child turns 18, what experience or what job can they get if they don't have any type of training? Even if you have college credits, you don't have the training, you can't really apply yourself at the job. So my biggest question, I only really have one question because the program sounds excellent. You said you were in business or been doing this for 7 years. And that's amazing. That's commendable. My only question was, call came through. In the 7 years, what is your percentage of the students that graduate successfully obtaining employment?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say I don't have those numbers with me. I will tell you that to be honest, the vast majority of kids go get their degree from CCM, their AAS degree, and then move on to 4-year colleges. But we've had, I would say 1 or 2 of the 15 each year go directly into the workforce. And I've had, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, we've had some kids go into apprenticeships through the German Chamber.
Correct. Yeah, they're in the apprenticeships currently, actually. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've had that too. It's a paid apprenticeship program.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt. You finish. Make sure you're finished. So on that note, and this is my question because I'm in this same alignment or kind of parallel to what you're doing. It's just a little bit different in the industry where I'm trying to monetize my training, right? And so I see that you have support from the community, you have support from other sponsorships or people that are agreeable to your program, but it's not based off of placement. It's based off of the student accruing those credits, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I also want you to know that we started, say 3 years ago, a supply chain program. So it's called Global Supply Chain Management. And those students we don't have a share time program yet. We have one planned to open 2024, but we do have 4-year high school students who are in the supply chain management program. And the first group is going to begin earning college credits next school year over at the County College of Morris.
Okay, great, great. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much for the information.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, to Shonda's point, in the Infrastructure and Investment Act that the president signed at the end of last year, there is an under 21 heavy trucking pilot that's been approved. And, with drayage trucking or heavy lift trucking, it being the number one career pathway for which the port experiences workforce shortages. And also that the fact that over 75% of the drivers are independent owner operators. It would be very good if there could be some type of program that looks at being a business owner, right? College credits for being a small business owner, coupled with the heavy trucking training apprenticeship to get the CDL. And I mean, these jobs can generate six-figure salaries. And some of our drivers are even driving in the winter months, they go down south, and in the in the summer months they come up here and drive. So it's very lucrative to be able to serve two markets.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Kylie, I think you had a question you wanted to ask.
I did. I have two. So one is probably simpler, which is just the role of paid internships. I'm just curious to know, just kind of if you think that they are required or a nice to have for the program. That's the first question. And then the second question is about marketing. So I can ask the second question after we talk about the role of paid internships.
Yeah, so I know for us, we look at three different things for our students, and all of them are, because we're an approved career and technical education program, are like acceptable options for our students. So one is, an unpaid internship, the other is a paid internship, and then
You're on a call.
and
It's over. Yes, I was in the car.
Shonda,
we have,
mute yourself for one moment.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's all good. It's all good. And then the other is just other kinds of work-based learning that maybe doesn't elevate to an internship level. So, I think that obviously paid internships are the best. And what happens a lot of times is that employers think that students who are under 18 can't engage in this. And through a county vocational program, we have robust insurance and there are regulations that allow for students who are 16 and older to have paid internships or pre-apprenticeship access, and that's fully allowable. Does that answer your question, or do you have more?
No, it does. I mean, and I think you've really hit the nail on the head in terms of what young people can get from an internship, paid or unpaid, versus what they're getting from work-based learning. And so, so that's just been something that we are wrestling with. And I think the first presenter discussed a mindset shift, and it's tricky. I know that with dual enrollment, a part of the shift is getting young people and their families to understand that you're leaving with a credential or a credit, which will help you down the road with income. But sometimes young people are looking very quickly for income, which is right now always a part of the equation. And then the other question, there was a mention of both you all mentioned, and then the previous presenter mentioned, just populations that don't even know about these programs. And so I'm curious to know how you all have been marketing, and who are you missing? And I'm asking that in a kind of, we're all here together kind of way. So I'm asking that to say, if you could wave a magic wand and say, boy, I would really love to talk to 5th grade parents or 8th grade parents, or like, who are we missing and where are we missing them? So that they have access to these opportunities.
Yeah, so that's like a really great question. And, it's something that we probably talk about every day. So we want to serve more students who are English learners, who maybe have immigrated to the country and are unaware of these types of programs. The barriers that we have to that are reaching them in their native language, which we've tried to address. And also there's a barrier with certain literacy skills that we're working to overcome. We need to hire more support faculty who can help students catch up with literacy. We have made steady progress in what we call non-traditional enrollment in these programs. So attracting more females into manufacturing programs and non-traditional female populated programs. And we have done, just to toot our own horn, we've steadily been attracting more and more females into this program. More socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And what we are doing now is we are starting to offer more summer camp programs just as a whole district. You mentioned, 5th grade parents. So we're looking at getting younger kids exposed to various career pathways that they may not have known about, and giving them hands-on projects that will help them understand. So we're working on those things.
Thank you very much. It's very helpful.
Oh, you're welcome.
So,
Are we?
Or any one last question? If anyone has a question, we're at the end of our program. I want to be mindful of everyone's time, but I certainly want to thank everyone, especially you, Sherry, for fielding those questions and being with us here today.
Hey, Glenn?
Yes.
Could I just, to the question of employability of the students coming out of this program, while the majority of them are going on for their 2 or 4 year degree, I can tell you that I would have hired any one of them out of the high school program into our company, sophisticated manufacturing company. Every one of them could have gotten hired right out of that program by my company or any other manufacturing company in New Jersey. So it wasn't a problem with the student at all, or the program. They had another career opportunity in their mind, but every one of them was employable at very good wages and very good opportunities, career opportunities right out of school.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's that is the best testimony that anyone could hear. Go ahead, Sherry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, and I do want to say that is also a goal of ours, is to attract more students who want work right out of school. But I think it's a testament to the program too, that sometimes they get in there and they're like, I can do this college thing. But we do want students to take that opportunity to go right into the workforce. And I think Matt and Caroline left, but they've been able to, oh, you're still on?
Yep.
They have been able to do that. They, when we first started working with them and it was pre-pandemic, I thought, oh, I don't know if these kids are going to go for this apprenticeship thing, but to their credit, they were able to attract students into that apprenticeship program.
Yeah, and just to quickly to that, I think the key there is getting the companies to provide financial support, as Patrick was talking about, that whole concept of getting companies involved with the academic costs. I know, of course, there are various methods for getting academic costs covered, but seeing that leap of faith that the companies are putting into it, that really means a lot to a young person.
Wonderful, outstanding. And listen, this is a true example of collaboration, of partnership between industry and education and associations. And this was really the concept that Aaron envisioned when the Community College Consortium and NJBIA got together over 18 months ago and began to develop this whole concept, and then presented it to the state legislature. So this is a perfect example of what we're trying to accomplish with each of our 10 centers. I appreciate everyone joining us and being a part of this conversation, because I think it's very helpful. The presentation will be available on our, as it was indicated in the link later on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website. But for those who would like to get any information as quickly as possible, please feel free to reach out to us to let us know. But with that, I'd just like to say thank you again for being here with us today. Please give us your feedback. Let us know what you thought about the program. That's the scan code. If you like to scan on your phone, you can do it in real time. Otherwise, you could do, if you clicked on the link earlier, you can complete it there. We will be sending out information follow up to this discussion. And again, thank you all for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing, I know I'll see many of you at other venues over the next week or two. So thank you again for being here.
Let's see, how many people are in our breakout here? You know what? Let's do a quick, I'm going to stop sharing just because we have 7 people. So in case everyone doesn't know anyone, let's do a quick introduction. Is that good, Patrick? Patrick, by the way, wonderful presentation. It was great. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sandra Bleckman. I am the Director of the Health Services Strategy and Workforce Partnerships. Similar to Glenn, who handles manufacturing and supply chain, I handle health services. Joe, do you want to go since you're on the NJCC?
Sure. Joe Pranzatelli, New Jersey College Consortium. I'm the project manager for our Gains Growing Apprenticeships in Non-Traditional Sectors apprenticeship program. I work in partnership with Patrick Enright at County College of Morris. Great presentation, by the way, Patrick, and the John Miller previously, but we'll go on.
Great, thanks. Patrick?
Yep, Patrick Enright, new title here at CCM actually in the last few days. I'm Vice President for Academic Affairs and Workforce Development at CCM.
Congratulations, Patrick. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Moving on to Elvie. I'm moving around my Zoom screen.
Hi, I'm Elvie Vieira, and I work for Essex County College. I'm the Dean of Community Continuing Ed and Workforce Development, and I work with Academic Affairs Deans as well.
Great. Michelle?
Morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Campbell. I'm the Vice President for Institutional Advancement at Middlesex College, and I oversee, among other things, workforce development and lifelong learning.
Great, thank you. And Ron?
Ron Burkhart from Salem Community College, Assistant Dean of Institutional Research and Planning. Also have some responsibility for workforce, and we're a participant in the supply chain pathway.
Terrific, thank you. And last but not least, it says Ryden. I don't know your first name, so.
Hi, I'm Roy Ridings. I am the Apprentice and New Tooling Manager at Weishaupt Company in East Hanover, New Jersey. Worked with Patrick and his group up there at CCM and helping them with the apprentice programs for their different curriculums. Great presentation, Patrick and Sherry. I know Sherry's not part of this group, but really great presentation on your joint efforts there. And really one of the things I had discussed with some of the other people about, trying to get the kids at the high school age. And I think this is a great lead into your college programs and with stackable credentials, which we're all working towards.
Yeah, and I just want to do a shout out to Roy. He's been a great friend and help to the County College of Morris. He's put in hours for us that I'm sure volunteer hours. And so thanks to you, Roy, for all your help.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you. And so I have a few questions up here, and I also, want to take from here, some comments or reactions to the presentations, right? Davis was amazing. Patrick's presentation was great. So, just talking around dual enrollment and how can we increase the success of equity? And if you have anything you want to share as far as approaches to equity that is your organization using as it relates to dual enrollment, or what elements would you like to see implemented to increase equity in dual enrollment programs? I'm going to stop sharing because I feel like it's hard to talk to everyone in our Zoom room when we have the, so if anyone would like to just kind of reflect on what we heard or talk a little bit more about how do we increase equity in dual enrollment.
And Sandra, I'm just going to lead in very quickly and say, in terms of our presentation, it has been a real challenge. In Morris County, of course, we have a good number of high-income families, in addition to an underserved population. And families that are college-educated, high-income, they know how to access opportunities. And so in our share time program, and in particular manufacturing, we've gotten some really high performing students. These are AP students, they're highly motivated. And Sherry and I spend a lot of time talking about how can we make sure that underserved populations know about the program and can apply. I can't declare complete success, but it's a cautionary tale that what we've learned is, families with high income and college degrees know how to access programs and resources that underserved populations just don't.
So at Essex, if I can add, I've been responsible I was always doing something with dual enrollment since I worked at the college for a very long time. But the last 6 years, I really have made this a big priority in the area that I oversee. And when I took over the program, I did a big review on it. And I think some of the things what we did is we started going directly to the district. The district is paying for the instructors and also a fee that then allows students to participate. So removing the barrier of parents having to pay for the students, because that would not happen in a socioeconomic area such as Newark and parts of Essex County. We eliminated that barrier by going directly to the district, working with them to make it affordable, and so that we then make presentations at the high schools and the students join. So I'm actually presenting next week at the at the collaborative that's there next week, and I'll talk about my breakdown of demographics, but the majority, about 50%, if not more, are African American. So I think we're really making a big deal, a big dent on that. The other thing is we have one high school that's sort of our ESL population, which is a lot of immigrants in the Ironbound section of Newark. Some of you may be familiar because it has great restaurants, so everybody goes down for food. A lot of them are first immigrants coming in from South America and other places. They're beginning to learn the language. So we incorporated a liberal arts degree at the high school, but there's a section of it that the students, we've created a cohort that opens it up for the bilingual students. So it's liberal arts with Spanish. So it's valuing their culture, bringing in Spanish literature and other things so that they begin to really look at that. So that was one, it was a big effort on our part to make sure that students across the city would have access. And if we were charging the parents, a very small number would participate because it's just not something that our parents would be able to do it, but eliminating it. And I have one success story at one of the high schools where it's like a family moved in to the United States and came to Newark. They had 3 kids in the family. The oldest daughter went through our program and she now completed her master's. The second one completed her bachelor's, and now the youngest one is in the program right now, probably graduate next year. So we're seeing, some changes that are it's really great to watch the kids anyway. I can talk a lot about this, so I'll be
That's
quiet now.
great. Thank you, Velvet. Michelle, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So right now, so we have 36 school districts in Middlesex County, of which we have, I believe, dual enrollment partnerships with 30, either 31 or 33 of them, which is great. But you know, some of the areas where we don't have those partnerships are in the areas where we do have more underserved, underrepresented populations in Perth Amboy in particular, and parts of New Brunswick. So there's a couple other things that we're doing to serve those populations where our urban satellite centers exist. We have a really successful, we call it a Youth Leadership Academy. I'm so sorry, my phone's ringing and I don't know how to shut it off. It's called Success Bound, and it's a program that we run out of our Perth Amboy Center. And we've now expanded it. It started with a partnership with, I'm so sorry. I have a meeting at 11 and I know that's who's calling. So I'm gonna have to just do this later. I apologize. So anyways, I've lost my train of thought, but I'll let somebody else go.
Ron, did you want to add something?
You know, just with this group, we have robust dual credit here in the county as well, but we've had a desire to start reaching out to more diverse populations, and that access and ability to navigate dual credit, where having the funds available to those families is a significant barrier. So it really becomes a factor of streamlining access to dual credit. And if we believe that getting dual credit in the hands of disadvantaged families is a public good, maybe the legislature needs to put some funding behind that, or maybe philanthropy needs to put some money behind that, or maybe the K-12 districts need to put some money behind that to take at least the access issue with money off the table, if not the wraparound supports to make that happen.
That's a great, a great comment. And we've had some really great ideas, and I think it's important, and that's part of what we do in this breakout room, is to share, right, ideas and see if we can come together and come up with some new solutions. Elvie, did you want to comment on that? I didn't.
No, I mean, I said like the solutions, the way we found them is to just go to the districts, you know, and really work with them. And what really helped in Newark is just going to the actual superintendent, working it through with him, and then coming back down to the high schools and working up with them, right? So that we have curriculum approved and pathways, and everybody's aware of this new cost formula that we came up for them, and then invoices and everything go through the district and everything's approved and it runs much smoother. And it took a lot of effort. Like I said, it's been the last 6 years to get here, but now it's like when we do the agreement, it's not per high school, but it's through each district, and then it just rolled out to a lot more students.
That's wonderful. And I know we're a little bit over time, so I'm going to wrap up, but Roy, did you have thank you so much for your partnership with our community colleges, and any last thoughts?
I guess, well, I know Patrick's not here and I'll follow that up with him, but what I would put out, being you're all more on the education side, is one thing that struck me is kind of knowing what the CCM and the Morris County VOTEC program is. I think it would be a highly sellable program. So I'm kind of wondering what the disconnect for the more underprivileged kids, whether it's the parents' point of view or whether it's because they're in just a high school curriculum, what is the disconnect that a program like that is, and in your other counties too, a program like that is not selling to those kids? That would be my big question, because like Patrick said, people that, come from more college families and more oriented backgrounds understand the value of this and are jumping all over this.
So I
anybody
think
that says 30 free credits of college Like, I mean, that should be a big selling point. So is there a stigmatism with the students or?
If I could say, like, because I participated in a lot of meetings with also CRN and some dual enrollment across the state, when the colleges are charging the full tuition and the students cannot get financial aid while they're in high school because they're not eligible, then it's up to the parent to pick up. And even at a full credit load for one semester at Essex is around $2,500. That's a lot for incomes of families that are below 35,000. So that's why I've spoken to going to the district and working out a different method to pay for the services to get done so that it alleviates the parent, because a single mom with 2 kids may want to do it, but may not be able to afford it. If
Right, I
the
get that.
colleges are doing that.
I get that at the college level, but what Patrick was sharing with his program with Morris County VOTAC, they've already taken the tuition off the table, and yet they're
Right.
still seeing problems. So that's where my question is stemming from.
Right.
So what is the answer?
It may be additional marketing awareness and just a very targeted effort, because I mean, when I started going over, I literally was going to the high school myself, which not normally as a dean, that wouldn't be what I'd be doing. But I went in and, spoke to parents and spoke to the kids and, talked about it and talked about the benefits and talked about my own story, because I'm a kid who grew up in Newark and the Ironbound section and what the difference in the education has made in my life. And so I think that they just sometimes need to imagine themselves as being able to do it. And if they're first generation going to college or even getting exposed to a career or a certification or an industry, they just may not be aware of it. So it does take like a targeted effort.
I think it's more the education piece of letting them know and actually having them envision that they can do this and it's something within their reach, right? As opposed to being, taking the finances off the table. I don't think they think that they're capable maybe, or that it's a possibility for them. But I thank you all for, for this wonderful discussion. The next supply chain and manufacturing meeting is June 1st at 10 a.m. So you'll receive that. You'll also receive a survey. So that's helpful because it helps us to really work on, next month's themes and moving forward, what you like to see, what you enjoyed about the program. So I thank you all again for joining us today. And, this was a great discussion. We could go on forever, but I know everyone has other things they need to do today. But again, thank you. And we will see you on June 1st then at 10 a.m.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. It's nice
Okay,
meeting
bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome. Want to take a few minutes to just go over a few logistic things. So you're all muted, but if you have, or when you would like to speak, if you raise your hand, I can unmute you. Feel free to put your name and company, and if you want your email in the chat. But we're going to talk today, about dual enrollment and really focusing on increasing success of equity in the dual enrollment process. So we would love to hear your feedback, your input on, what approaches to equity is your organization doing as it relates to your dual enrollment programs. What elements would you like to see implemented to increase equity in dual enrollment programs, or just best practices in general? So we welcome all input. And who would like to share? I see some folks looking on. So Judy, I know that you had, yeah, perfect. I don't know why there we go.
Okay. Okay. There we go. I couldn't find the button, so I just reverted to using my actual hand.
No problem.
Hi, everybody. That was a fantastic presentation, both the first presentation and the discussion. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Judy Savage. I'm a senior consultant to the New Jersey Council of County Vocational Technical Schools. I retired last year after 20 years of leading that organization as executive director. And so county vocational schools are doing a lot with dual enrollment and always seeking to do more. The Marist example is something that we point to often for leading the way. So in terms of equity, a couple of things that Sherry Castelli touched on that I think I would want to emphasize. So first of all, the county vocational school is a good partner with colleges and employers to work at because it draws from the entire county rather than a single school district. So, that doesn't solve all the equity problems, but, certainly you're getting a broad base of students from multiple communities rather than students from a single community within the county. And I think the piece that's really, really important about equity and dual enrollment, a couple things that I heard today. One, I was very, very intrigued by Davis talking about removing outdated gatekeepers in the forms of standardized tests. I'm not sure if I'm interpreting him correctly, but I'm sensing that he's referring to the AccuPlacer. Which colleges use to determine if you're in credit bearing or not credit bearing courses. And he seems to be advocating for putting that aside with dual credit programs. Very, very important point. But if we're going to be more inclusive in who gets those dual credit opportunities, there need to be appropriate supports, and high school partners are responsible for providing that. And again, county vocational schools or local schools are well positioned to do that. These are their students, they know them, they know what they need, and they need to provide any academic supports as well as counseling and guidance to make sure that students are ready to succeed in college level work. And as they're navigating it, all of the things about those experiences are going to be new for them. And that's a great thing, but it can also be daunting. So they need a place to go to check in and get any supports that they need. So I'll stop there.
Great. Excellent points, Judy. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else have any thoughts they want to share with us? We have a few minutes to go. Jackie, are you, would you like to, let's see. There we go.
Hi. Okay, sorry.
Welcome.
So our dual enrollment program, and I kind of use that term loosely because for Raritan Valley, dual enrollment is really very specific with credit bearing courses. Our manufacturing program is with we have many high schools, but the one that's the most closest to a dual enrollment program is with the Somerset County VOTAC. And I commend Morris County for getting their regular faculty to get certified in CTE. That's remarkable from my perspective. So what we do is we articulate if the high school population gains certain certificates and we group them together, we will articulate that collection of NIMS credentials into a course.
Okay.
It's not quite as fluid as a normal dual enrollment process. And it's been hard, I have to say. It's getting this credit, non-credit dual enrollment thing going here has been challenging.
Are there specific challenging points that we could, help discuss, to kind of talk through and see how the collaborative and other partners within the collaborative can help you with those challenges? Like maybe they've encountered them, right? And can help you give advice on how they.
I think it's your very stereotypical academic classes, and follow their teachers are, all masters at a minimum. There's a curriculum, there's program that's all defined. As somebody mentioned, there are AccuPlacer, there are requirements for entry. So we don't have a good non-credit to credit pathway. We
Right.
keep.
Okay. So Judy asked in the chat, she said, is that because the manufacturing courses are non-credit? And it sounds like that's
Yes,
the big
it's the
assembly block for you, is the non-credit to credit.
Right. And I think at Morris, they're credit.
Mhm.
Or some of them are, if they're taught by credit instructors. So it's a different model. So that's a hard nut for us to crack.
Right. And that non-credit to credit transition, is a large focus of the Pathways Initiative. So
Right.
hopefully that through your work and your involvement with the initiative and the Centers of Workforce Innovation, you will be able to learn from your peers or get some good best practices, examples of how you can accomplish that and then move this forward. Please always know that those of us on the Pathway team and at the council and your peers, we are here to help share those best practices and work through those challenges.
Right. Yeah,
So
I think as they hear from other that it's happening more frequently, I think that'll help us move the needle.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jackie. Before we wrap up, or anyone else like to make a comment, share anything, introduce yourself? Joanne, would you like to introduce yourself, or Joseph? Karen, glad to have you here with us today. And I don't know the first name of Fiorella, but we would love to hear from any of you if you would like to say hello. Okay, otherwise I'm going to go through the remaining slides just to remind everyone, we appreciate your time this morning. We are always looking for feedback. So there's that QR code that you can scan. If you're not able to scan it quickly, it will also be, or there will be a link in the email that you'll receive as a follow-up to the collaborative. I believe they'll be sharing all the slide decks, so you'll get Davis's information as well. But we do know that we really do take that feedback very seriously and appreciate your thoughts. If you're not already a partner of the Pathways Initiative, we would love to have you be a formal partner. You can scan that QR code or go to our website at ngapathways.org. There's a Get Involved button you can click and just type in your information to become a formal partner. And of course, we post a lot on social media about the collaboratives, each of the sectors. We will be including information on our Centers of Workforce Innovation as we go forward with those work plans. These are our social media channels. We look forward to you engaging with us and sharing information even on social media. And then finally, looking forward to the next round of collaborative meetings. So the rest of May, each Wednesday, we've got technology and innovation on the 11th, health services on May 18th, and of course, infrastructure and energy is May 25th. I am the director of infrastructure and energy, so hope you all can join us there as well. And then we'll be back in the beginning of June, on June 1st, for manufacturing and supply chain again. So that concludes the program for today. Again, I do appreciate your time and your thoughts, and look forward to seeing you in the coming Wednesdays. Have a great day.
I just unmuted Joanne. I think she wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say something.
Oh, there we go. Perfect, Joanne.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be very brief. My question is, how and who can help the high schools promote the value and availability of these programs to students and parents and to guidance counselors? And what are the internal institutional barriers to doing that? For me, and I speak from almost a half century of manufacturing experience, I have 2 college degrees, including an advanced degree. How do we make this visible as a path to not only career success, but personal success?
Yeah,
it's
great.
Not being seen. And in Bergen County, I know there are many barriers here. Please feel free to reach out to me if I can be of more help.
Absolutely. And Joanne, that is a terrific point. I will tell you that the Pathways Initiative, once we get through the work of the Centers of Workforce Innovation, we will be developing career pathway maps. We keep talking about the on-ramps and the off-ramps, and really being very clear with the programs that are being built. So that information will be shared widely throughout the state. And I look forward to us being able to share more specific information on how that will be distributed among the high schools, because you are absolutely on point that it's not just a singular organization, it's a collective organization. We all need to be aware of that. So that marketing, that will be part of the Pathways Initiative. So we'll be providing information on that as we move forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for attending, and we look forward to seeing you either next Wednesday or the 1st of June for the next manufacturing session.
And I think probably everyone has joined us for the breakout room. I just really wanted to say welcome and introduce myself. My name is Bita Shamsuddin, and I am actually the director for the technology and innovation sector at the New Jersey Pathways. And we are very happy that you could join us for such a dynamic discussion from Davis, as well as from the County College of Morris on the program that they have there. We wanted just to continue the conversation and really kind of hear from you if you'd like to chat with us this morning, really to see, excuse me, my phone is just popping off, really to see what you think about the dual enrollment process, and how, one, we wanted to really talk about, which something that Davis really hit on during his presentation and also in our partnership conversation, was how can we increase the success of equity in the dual enrollment process? Does anyone have any thoughts to share that they might share about that piece, or talk about what your experiences might have been with the dual enrollment piece as it relates to, just standard, dual enrollment, and particularly Davis's conversation about where we really need to go to meet the job market needs as it relates to CTEs. So I know we have Stacy, Vernon, Yvette, Renee, and Cassano, Jay Cassano and Hardy. Would anyone like to share their thoughts on what has been their experiences in dual enrollment? And everybody, please don't speak at once, because I can just keep talking. Okay, I see Vernon, you are
I just unmuted. Good morning, everyone. I'm in the process of working with my colleagues at the high school leadership team with regards to the dual enrollment process, and just looking to see how we can spark more interest at the middle school level and have it foster up to the secondary level. So I think that that's going to help us with interest. I was really interested to see how Davis Jenkins' data contributed to changing culture. Didn't have an opportunity to ask the question, but really would like to know what the dual enrollment programs that he's researched or engaged with, what has been the cultural change with regards to the success of those programs.
I think that's a great point. And Vernon, were you able to get his information? Because we're going to be sending out his deck to everyone. And I know some of that information, not the cultural piece that you're talking about, but at least the sources. And also we shared his email address. We can share that with you, because that would be a great follow-up question for him.
Sure. I was hoping that the deck would be shared with participants.
Absolutely. I want a copy of the deck. I want to tell you that. Me too. I'm raising my hand, Vernon. But I think it was just phenomenal. And there were a couple things that I wrote down, even when he was talking. I couldn't quite frankly write fast enough. But when he says sorts by race and class, but not by talent, that was just so impactful for me, because what it really says from an equity filter is that we're missing so much, and so many gifted students who have so much to bring to the table, who would be a vital part of the workforce. They're not getting that initial access that puts them on the pathway to success. So that was number one. Another piece that he talked about was random acts, programs of privilege. And he specifically talked about that as related to probably some of the dual enrollment, but also from the AP, and that we know about the gen ed education and what those tracks are, whether it's calculus, which he almost called old math, quite frankly, but whether it's calculus or some of those kind of AP courses, and that those courses tend to be taken more by children of privilege. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, how do you one, provide dual enrollment programs that are that really are setting students up for that career path. And not to say that there's anything wrong with general education courses, because they do kind of help students with some of the courses when they are in college, particularly, but from a substantive and engaging and tapping into students' passions earlier, Vernon, which I think you're talking about with that whole middle school touch that kind of sets them up for high school, that then sets them up for the next level post-secondary.
Yeah, because you're definitely offering a balanced approach. One thing the pandemic did show us is that in this is the supply chain management group, is that that industry currently is certainly looking for qualified applicants, because the supply chain process during the pandemic was impacted tremendously. There weren't enough professionals to fill the vacancies that existed, and it kind of stifled certain sections of the business industry. And if we're having those conversations at a middle and elementary school level, as well as early mentoring and junior apprenticeship experiences, then we will begin to balance out a student's pathway approach, so they have an idea of what they want to or interest in from a post-secondary standpoint. And we're not saying that we're taking college off the table. We're now providing a more balanced approach, a more enriched approach, so the student has a better understanding of the pathways that he or she are eligible for.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main aspects of the New Jersey Pathways, is really to integrate that piece, because we've had the silos, even from the CTE versus dual enrollment. And what we're really saying, and what Davis kind of talked about, was that, it's really not about these kind of separate tracks. And so whether it's in manufacturing and supply chain or in technology innovation, which sector I'm in, it's really about marrying these silos, because it ultimately benefits the student. So they're not having to choose, am I going to do the dual enrollment for the gen ed, or am I going to do the CT, which I don't necessarily get credit for, but what might get me a job like almost immediately. But now being able to integrate and bring down those silos, where you may have CTE courses that have been evaluated and assessed for credit, just like what you saw in the CCM's presentation with the partnership, is that you're really starting to make every touch with students impactful for their life. That is not random, but it's very much a transparent pathway that they can see, and starting to kind of have those conversations earlier, like in middle school, particularly as relates to STEM. Vernon, when we talk about the supply chain, we know that there is such a technology overlay for the supply chain in a way that we never saw before, because so many of these corporations, it's high tech, it's supply chain, but it's all kind of tracked through the system through data analytics, quite frankly. That's when we talk about how do we really open up all aspects of the career so that students are able to see that. Is there anyone else that would really like to kind of share a little information? I know we're almost at our time, about what elements would you like to see implemented to kind of increase that equity as relates to dual enrollment? One thing that Davis talked about was access. And it's like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to industry? Are you talking to industry associations, which we know? But one thing that he talked about was talking to school boards and talking and opening up even at churches, because even in the pandemic, even as related to vaccinations, whatever your stand might be, is that you were able to reach a different group of people who may not have been in the standard places to vaccinations. It's very much like that with access for information as relates to education. I thought that was an interesting point that he raised. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Hi, I'm in the continuing education department, so I'm really not involved with dual ed programs, dual enrollment programs at all. I'm at Passaic County Community College, and I know we do have a program, but I don't know much about it. I enjoyed the presentation. I thought it was extremely informative. It got my mind going. Of course, I had to say, I wish something like this was around when I was in high school.
Absolutely.
boy, it would save me a lot of anguish and money and pitfalls and all those sorts of things. So that is exciting. But I do believe that we have to meet people where they are, and so the idea of really going out into the community, I think, is critical. I just know, just regular admissions for our college, we had kind of gotten away from what I understand, because I'm new to the college, but I'm from the community. And I remember years ago, we would see the college all over the place. But then, enrollments are really, really great. They kind of pull back from the grassroots. And now the pandemic hits, and now there's an issue with enrollment. So I think that it's always a good idea to stay connected in a grassroots kind of way to the community in meeting people where they are. So the opportunity, or just the thought, the idea of going to churches and in some of these non-traditional spaces for this sort of, I don't even want to say recruitment, but to get the information out there. Absolutely. So that people are informed. Absolutely. I think is really critical. And that will certainly increase like diversity and improve in equity. It's getting the information out there and in a way that people are receptive to hearing it and realizing that this is something that they can actually do. So I think the way this state is moving, I think this is an exciting time.
Right. We're all excited at the New Jersey Pathways. And Renee, thank you for sharing that information. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, because I think that you don't know what you don't know. And that sounds very kind of circular, but what it is if you don't know that these opportunities are there, you don't get to contemplate, think about them, or plan for them, because they're not a part of your universe. So it's like, how do we expand the universe? I know I'm going to get my little bell soon to say that I need to move along. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. I just wanted to share, obviously, this is the New Jersey Pathways. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome. We do this every month, and what we are bringing, what we really like to say is that, one, we do want your feedback. So let us know how you like the presentation. This is the QR code. So you can open up your phone, get this QR code. We also have shared it in the chat. We want to hear your feedback. And so even though we don't have a lot of time to talk for our breakout sessions, part of the New Jersey Pathways Initiative is about collaboration. So we do want to hear from you. We want to know what your thoughts are. We want to know what you think about the programming that we're doing. Do we need to do something different? Would you like to hear more on a different topic? But what we really want to say more than anything, we know that you know about dual enrollment. This is not a new topic, but what we're really trying to talk about is, what does it look like as it relates to the New Jersey Pathways and opening doors and creating access and talking about equity and all those other aspects. So we did experiential learning last month. We're doing dual enrollment this month, and we will be back actually next week on May 11th. I will be hosting another section on dual enrollment that really will kind of focus on technology and innovation. We're going to have a dynamic presentation as well around the same topic. It'll be on dual enrollment, but it might be just a little different spin as relates to tech and innovation. But what we do want to say is, we're not just sharing information that's been shared before. What we want to do with this entire collaboration is to bring resources like what Davis brought to the table, to share knowledge and to basically get the conversation going. We'd like for you to get involved. That's another QR code. We already have your information because you probably received a link for this. Also, we're going to ask that you stay connected with us. We're across all social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. In fact, this presentation has been taped. It will be uploaded to YouTube if you want to watch it again, because I thought that there were some very strong nuggets that we can all kind of learn from. But please join us, follow us, like us, tag us, because we do share information in all these sectors throughout the month. And as I said before, next up, this is what's coming up. Technology and innovation is next Wednesday. Again, on dual enrollment. The health sector, health service collaborative is Wednesday, May 18th, and infrastructure and energy is Wednesday, May 25th. And then at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that that manufacturing and supply, which is this group, will be back Wednesday, June 1st. We do it every Wednesday, like almost every Wednesday each month. We're here in one of our sectors talking. For manufacturing and supply chain, it's going to be the first Wednesday of every month, and we're going to always bring it. And we hope that we will always engage you and provide you information or a nugget that you hadn't heard before. Let us hear from you. Follow us, because what we want to do, Davis talked about a paradigm shift. This is the paradigm shift that we really want to bring. We want to make these pathways open to all, accessible to all, and quite frankly, help ensure that it is meeting the needs of the industries, because that's where the jobs are. And quite frankly, that's where what students are being educated for, so they can find students, not just students, but also adult learners who may be upskilling. This pathway is, these pathways are for a lifetime. That's why we were talking about dual enrollment. That's why Vernon talked about middle school, because it starts soon. About that access and exposure. I thank you, the New Jersey Pathways Initiatives. Thank you for joining us, for giving us an hour or a little over an hour of your time today. Come back and join us. Those are the sessions that are coming up. We will be bringing it every Wednesday. Each month, again, we have a topic, so we'll be bringing that topic to you. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the week. It is Wednesday, so it is hump day. So enjoy your week, and thank you again. Have a good day.